The war room was cold. Always cold on the Dominion's throne world. High Commander Wrath liked it that way. Cold kept the mind sharp. Cold reminded you that comfort was for the weak. Wrath stood at the center of the circular chamber. Around him, dozens of senior officers sat in their curved seats, eyes fixed on a holographic display floating above the table. It showed a small blue planet, quiet, unremarkable, far at the edge of explored space. "This is Earth," Wrath said, tapping the image with one long gray finger. No one had heard of it before. Not surprising. The Varick Dominion had conquered 43 civilizations over 3,000 years. Most of their names were forgotten. This one would be the same. A young intelligence officer, Sue, raised his hand. "Permission to speak, High Commander." Wrath nodded. "Speak." Sue pulled up a secondary display beside the main one. Charts, graphs, long columns of data. Most of what you've seen is correct. They are physically weak, divided behind us in technology. But there's something concerning. Humans do not have a clear survival threshold. Every other species breaks under enough pressure. Humans, they adapt. They come back stronger. The room laughed quietly. One general shook his head. "They fight each other. How are they a threat? They sit on a planet rich with rare minerals," Wrath said. "That is why we are here. Not for fear. For resources." Sue ignored the laughter. They've survived near apocalypses. Civilizations nearly destroyed themselves 80 years ago. And they rebuilt. Faster, stronger. They don't learn fear. They learn engineering. Wrath stared at the blue planet. "You're telling me this fragile, divided species could threaten our third claw fleet?" "I think we don't fully understand them yet," Sue said. "I need more observation. Watch how they respond to outside threats, not just internal conflict." Wrath's gaze hardened. "We have no more time. The third claw fleet is already staged. File your concerns. They will be reviewed after the planet is secured." Sue sat down. He had said what he needed to say. The rest was out of his hands. 3 days later, the third claw fleet, 68 of the Dominion's most powerful warships, received its orders. Its flagship alone was larger than some moons. Its commander, Vorith, read the intelligence reports with mild boredom. He had faced worse. He gave the order to jump. Meanwhile, Earth detected the fleet. A single broadcast was sent across all frequencies. "Identify yourselves. State your intentions. You have 48 hours. The fleet did not respond. The humans sent a second message. "We will defend ourselves." Vorith ignored it. Orders were given. The third claw fleet advanced toward Earth like a storm heading for a candle. The third claw fleet dropped out of jump space at the edge of the Sol system. 68 warships, the largest mobile force the Dominion had ever assembled, glided silently through the dark. Vorith scanned for resistance. Nothing. Not a single human ship. "Normal," he muttered. "They're running." On Earth, no human ship had fled. They had seen the fleet coming, and they had planned. Every long-range sensor, every satellite, every early warning system had been used to calculate the fleet's arrival. Humans did not panic. They moved quietly, deliberately. Vorith gave the order to advance. The fleet slid into formation. Wide triangle. Heavy ships in front, support behind. The outer planets passed without incident. The silence stretched, then the first wave struck. Hundreds of human ships rose from the shadows below the plane of the solar system. Faster than the fleet's sensors could track, coming from angles no one had predicted. These were not the same vessels that had destroyed the third claw fleet weeks earlier. These were heavier, stronger. Hulls mixed with human design and Dominion engineering. They had rebuilt, improved. The second wave hit from behind the largest moon. The Armada had not even finished reacting to the first strike before this one slammed into their rear. The third wave arrived almost invisibly. Small, fast ships appearing from micro-jumps, movements the Varick had deemed too unstable to use. Humans accepted the risk and mastered it anyway. On the fleet's command bridge, alarms blared. Vorith barked orders. Reports of damage, confusion, and gaps in formation poured in. But the humans did not retreat. They moved as one, coordinated, precise, reacting in real time. Every ship that was hit returned to the fight. Crews repaired hulls while under fire. One vessel lost its main engine and half its hull, then rammed a Varric warship, destroying its weapons array and creating a clear firing window for the humans around it. The battle lasted 11 days. 11 days of continuous fighting across the inner solar system. The Ver Armada was larger, stronger individually. The humans were faster, smarter, unrelenting. They knew every asteroid, every shadow, every gravitational current. They did not stop. Above the planet, the 12 Warzers deployed, designed to take down the human command structure in a single strike. Each one landed in a different zone. Each expected a quick victory. The humans were ready. They had anticipated the Warzers' arrival. Each Warsinger faced not a central command, but dozens of independent groups operating without hierarchy. Kill one, and another immediately filled the void. There was no center. There was no easy target point one by one. Over 10 days, the Warzers fell. Each encounter was extraordinary. Each cost the humans dearly, but the humans held. Their backs were against the wall, and they fought harder than anything the Varric had faced BY Day 11. Only Keth remained. He had done more damage than the other 11 combined. 3 human command centers were rubble, 2 cities evacuated. Then he found himself in a ruined courtyard. A single human officer approached. Tall, tired, bleeding from a cut above her eye. She stopped 10 meters away, unafraid. Focus. It's over, she said. Keth assessed her and the soldiers behind her. Hundreds trained weapons on him. You don't want to kill me, she said. I'm not going to waste more people on you. Here's what happens. You leave, go back to your people, and bring them a message. She placed a small sealed cylinder on the ground. Keth picked it up, walked through the line of soldiers, and left. The remaining Ver ships began retreating, pressed to the edge of the system, but never pursued as you had warned them. Humans fight differently. They do not break, they expand. They learn. And now the Varric Dominion had a hard, cold proof of it. Back on the throne world, the war room was quiet. Too quiet. Officers who had once laughed at Sue were now silent. The probe footage, the destroyed Third Claw fleet, the slow, methodical human recovery, it was all there, recorded and undeniable that you watched the officers watch. He didn't need to explain. The footage spoke for itself. Pieces of warships floated in orbit, but human figures moved among them, measuring, analyzing, working as if it were just another day. Every broken Varric ship became a lesson, a blueprint, a weapon waiting to be made. Vrath broke the silence first. How long ago did this happen? Approximately 25 to 30 days, the technical lead said. The fleet was destroyed, and the humans have spent the last month dismantling and rebuilding using our own technology. Sue added quietly, not just rebuilding, they are improving it. Our engineers take months to understand a new system. The humans did it in days. General Drath leaned forward, disbelief in his voice. How did they destroy 68 of our ships? We don't know yet, Sue said. The probe didn't capture the battle itself, but what they built afterward. Imagine what they built during the battle. Vrath turned away from the display, staring out over the glittering capital city. For a long moment, the High Commander was silent. When he spoke, his voice was measured, careful. Full threat assessment, he said. Every resource you need. I want it on my desk in 7 days. Sue had started it 22 days ago. It will be ready tomorrow, he said, and O1 laughed. No one questioned him. The room was too tense. Meanwhile, the human fleet held position at the edge of their system. They had no interest in pursuit. They did not need to. They had shown the Dominion exactly what they were capable of. The Warzers' 12 elite operatives had been eliminated one by one. Ordinary humans, soldiers with determination, strategy, and courage, had defeated them. Keth the Silencer had done more damage than the others combined, but even he had been forced to retreat. Sue's report was 47 pages long. The first page had no numbers, no charts. A single sentence. Everything we believed about this species was wrong. He wrote about human history, about how they had survived on fire and stone, spreading across every climate, every terrain. About how 2 nations had once aimed weapons capable of ending the planet, and yet had survived, rebuilt, and grown stronger. They have lived at the edge of extinction many times, Sue had written. They do not break. They harden. He wrote about total war, not clean, simple battles like the Varric knew, but a war where civilians, factories, children, and ordinary people all became part of the defense. They had practiced total war on themselves long before the Dominion arrived. Sue's conclusion: humans were not facing their first apocalypse. The Dominion was their latest problem. Vrath read the report. Twice. His expression didn't change, but his breathing slowed. The weight of 3,000 years of conquest, of 43 civilizations, pressed down on him. This species, fragile, divided, untested, had just reshaped the rules of war. The High Commander closed the report and set it aside. We are not prepared for what we are facing, he said quietly. Not in the way we usually are. The room had changed. Officers who had once scoffed at Sue now realized the truth. These humans could not be treated like any other conquered species. Their response had been nothing short of extraordinary. Keth the Silencer, the deadliest operative in the Dominion's history, had been forced to retreat. And still, the humans had offered peace and no demands. No tribute. Just three simple terms: withdrawal from Sol, recognition of humanity as a sovereign species, and the release of 3 neighboring species held in Dominion facilities. Nothing else. Su shook his head slowly. They could have asked for anything, he said. Instead, they asked for a line they can stand behind, and 2 species who cannot speak for themselves. Vrath studied the report again. He thought about the humans, about the fleets, the warzers, the planets, the battlefields. For the first time in memory, the Dominion had been forced to respect a species as an equal. The meaning of it all was just beginning to sink in. The throne world had never been so quiet. Not quiet in the way of peace, but quiet in the way of hell breath. Keth the Silencer returned without ceremony, without escort, carrying the small cylinder humans had given him. His injuries were visible, but he walked straight, deliberate, calm. Even Vrath noticed something different. The assured eyes of the greatest operative in the Dominion now moved with caution, respect, and a hint of uncertainty. Keth placed the cylinder on the desk before Vrath. Silence filled the chamber. The High Commander did not speak immediately. General Drath, Sue, and the senior staff waited, the tension in the room thick. Finally, Vrath opened the cylinder. Inside was a folded document and a small data chip that he read the document slowly. Every word measured, translated into 4-ver dialects to ensure clarity. It was not a demand, not a threat, not a declaration of victory. It was a peace offer. The humans acknowledged the war. They acknowledged their losses. They stated they had not started the conflict and did not wish to continue it. Their terms were simple: withdrawal of all Varric assets from the Sol system, with a defined boundary neither side could cross without prior communication. Formal recognition of humanity as a sovereign species, free to interact with other civilizations. Release of 3 neighboring species held in Dominion facilities known to humans before the conflict, and no tribute. No territory. No humiliation. Just 3 things, and 2 of them were for someone else. Su looked up, shaking his head slowly. They could have asked for anything, he said. The room was changed since he had last spoken. Officers who had laughed at him now stared at the document in silence, realizing the weight of what humanity had done. Vrath examined the data chip. It opened into a complete star map of Earth space. Every fleet position, every station, every system humans had identified, accurate, detailed, and now in their possession. They have the map, Vrath said quietly. They have our technology. They have our will. And they've sent a peace offer. For the first time in 3,000 years, the Varric Dominion signed an agreement as the lesser power. Vrath picked up the pen, sat down at a desk that had not been used in centuries, and signed. No ceremony, no speech, just the acknowledgement that the small blue planet across the void had changed everything. Far away, on Earth, life continued amid the ruins of war. In a partially rebuilt city, a girl of 8 sat on a doorstep, looking at the stars. The lights were not fully restored, yet the night sky shone brighter than usual. Her uncle returned from the front lines, carrying the weight of what had just passed. What were they like? She asked, pointing toward the stars. He thought about the 11 days of fighting, about the fleets destroyed, about Keth the Silencer retreating, about ordinary humans moving with courage and discipline beyond anything he had seen. Surprised, he said finally, "By what?" the girl asked, curious and earnest. "By us," he said. "They were surprised by us." The girl considered it seriously, the way children understand great things before they can fully grasp them. "Were you surprised by them?" "A little," he admitted, looking at the stars. "But not in the same way." And above them, the same stars continued their slow, silent turn, unchanged in their path, but now carrying a meaning the galaxy would never forget. Humanity had survived. Humanity had fought back. Humanity had won respect without claiming conquest. Across the Dominion, messages would spread. Across star systems, other species would hear the story. Some would doubt it. Others would demand proof. And proof would be given. Records of the battle, the fleets, the warsers, and the human strategy. But the part that stunned every civilization, the part no one could grasp easily, was simple. After destroying a fleet and holding off the most feared forces of the galaxy, humans had only asked for three things, two of which were for others, and no one had ever done that before. No one would forget it. The throne world was quieter than ever. Not the silence of peace, but the silence of realization. The Varick Dominion had faced countless species, crushed civilizations, and grown stronger with every conquest. But now, for the first time in 3,000 years, it had signed as the lesser power. Vrath stood by the window, looking down at the glittering capital. For decades, he had calculated every resource, every fleet movement, every strategy. And yet, the humans had rewritten the rules without firing a single shot after their first decisive victories. They had fought like no species before, relentless, adaptable, fearless, and strategic. They had destroyed fleets, held the planet, and then chosen restraint over conquest. Su watched Vrath quietly. He had predicted part of this, yet even he could not have foreseen the scale. Humans had done something the Varick could not understand. They had won not just by force, but by principle. The report Keth brought had shown every detail. The coordinated human fleets, the 11 warsers eliminated one by one, the civilian ingenuity, the resilience of ordinary soldiers, and the calculated courage that defied fear. The humans had fought with everything they had, yet their final act was one of diplomacy, not domination. Vrath opened the document in the cylinder again. He read the piece, terms slowly, letting each word sink in. Every species in the Dominion's quadrant would hear about this. Some would doubt it, some would test it, but no one could ignore it. Humans had set a new standard for what it meant to survive, to fight, and to lead without tyranny. Across Earth, cities slowly rebuilt. Survivors walked among ruins, but hope was palpable. Families reunited. Children laughed again in streets scarred by war. The stars above continued their slow turn, indifferent, yet now watched by eyes that knew the galaxy had changed forever. That a girl of 8, sitting on a doorstep, watched the stars. Her uncle, back from the front lines, held her hand. "What were they like?" she asked. Surprised, he said. "By what?" "By us," he said. "By what we are capable of when we fight together and never give up." And somewhere far across the galaxy, the Varick Dominion reevaluated its place. Vrath signed agreements that had not been signed in centuries, acknowledging boundaries, recognizing sovereignty, and respecting life. The galaxy had learned something profound. Strength alone does not define supremacy. Will, resilience, and moral courage do that. In the records, the humans would be noted not only as survivors, but as a species that had changed the calculus of interstellar politics forever. Warsers and fleets could be rebuilt, planets could be retaken. But humanity had shown that some walls, once pushed, could never be ignored. And so, the small blue planet continued to turn, its people looking up at the stars, knowing that they had faced the greatest empire in the galaxy and emerged with their world and their principles intact. The story of the humans would be told and retold across centuries. A species that survived, fought, and negotiated when no one thought it possible. And for the Varic Dominion, the lesson was clear: never underestimate a species that fights when its back is against the wall, and never assume the predictable path of victory is yours to take. The galaxy had changed. The balance had shifted, and humanity, quiet, determined, and relentless, had claimed its place among the stars.